I'd like to call this September 6, 2016 Board of Health meeting to order. The listings of matter above are reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at this meeting. Not all items listed may be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This agenda may be subject to change. This meeting is being broadcast live on WACA television and will be rebroadcast numerous times by WACA. Check the WACA-TV website for details. And with that, we'll start off with citizens' participation. Is there anybody here tonight for citizens' participation?
I see you got a full crowded room here tonight.
There you go.
Good evening. Welcome to September, and the weather's changing, and everything else is getting a whole lot better. My name's Mark DeSoni. I have two questions. As from the last Board of Health meeting, I want to ask to the chairman, when you have an agenda and the time and start a meeting and end the meetings, and it says one time and then you get cut down to another because of policy, it was on air and was said just before adjournment, couldn't that be construed as a misinformation to an open meeting law violation?
No, not at all. Start times and end times are a courtesy to the public, and if you review the Mass General Law, you'll find that hypothetically, like tonight, if we finish our agenda in a half hour, there is no mandate that says we have to stay here till 9 o'clock. It is the start time and it's finish time, and it's more of a courtesy to people than it is, stipulation.
Okay, so.
And hence, if we run over, or other boards run over, our board policy is that we have to vote tonight if we want to extend to a next meeting. But other boards, like when I was on the Board of Selectmen, if you ran a half hour later, you didn't have to have that on the agenda or correct it. It's more a courtesy.
Okay, so I think on that, and in the agenda here, under the Health Agent Director Report, it says the House Project and recent ECS. Is that to Mr. Oram? Would that be from last week?
If I may.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Okay. No, Mark. The report from ECS was a couple weeks ago, and I'll be reporting. I can note the date if you want from ECS. It was reporting on not the actual solar panels going in. ECS is our testing company, and they evaluate and overview our landfill for us, so that's what they were doing, and I can give you the date of that report.
Well, at that time, if it does come up.
Yeah, I will be glad to do that.
There's a chance.
I'll date it.
Because I just wanted to make sure, because I've been up there and been checking,
August,
coming
yeah.
in.
August 1st and 10th.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. I've been up there, just
Thank you,
came
Mark.
in, talked down to the office, I talked to Laura and told her my updates and stuff like that.
Thank you.
And it's getting strongly going forward. And they haven't found any sort of gas leakage or anything like that. I just said last week that they came up with. They haven't found anything up there. And that and the RTD is going well. There's no wet dirt avalanches or anything like that. I went up there today and there's been nothing. So that's calm there. And the new high school solar panel carport, they work in the parking lot. They did work in the rain. And that's coming out slowly, but it is coming out. Other than that, I know it's going to be 4 or 5 minutes. Let's get through a whole agenda on time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, with that, because,
John,
yes.
can I ask you to request that the next meeting date can that be discussed now and then dispensed with, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to bring it up now. KG has a scheduling conflict for our next scheduled meeting. And you're going to be away, right?
No, I'm here for the September 20th meeting.
Well,
I
we
can
might
make
not be
that
having
time.
a September
I
20th
see.
meeting, is what I'm saying. So.
Yeah.
You have a conflict on the 20th, right, KG?
Yeah, 20th and the 21st is a Wednesday. I have a class to teach during that time. Those are the 2 dates. Monday is fine. Monday, I think Mary may have an issue with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Monday, the 19th?
Are we available for that day?
I-
You wouldn't be
I
available.
may have a finance committee meeting.
Right.
I may not. We
Money,
haven't.
money,
They
money,
get
money.
announced the week before, so I'm not for sure.
All right.
22nd
So-
is fine for me if it can be 22nd.
All right, so let's look at the dates of the 19th, 22nd. One, we have to make sure that this room isn't already booked. Number two, you have to see what your availability is.
Yep.
Now, you wouldn't be able to make the 22nd.
No, but the 19th I could.
The 19th you could. And now, how about you, Mary? How about, while she checks that, how about you, Judy?
Actually, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday are all good for me. I can also do the Tuesday after, 27th.
And when would you be back for
I'm
the
gone.
22nd?
I'm not back till October
Okay.
12th.
Okay. All right, so we'll check everybody and then we'll get everybody to get back. Yeah,
Thank
get
you.
back.
Appreciate it.
What's the meeting on the, is there a town meeting on the 20th?
You know, there's a charter review committee meeting, that being somebody from the Collins Center is coming for us, so that's a vital meeting for that. So
That's
why-
actually a particularly interesting meeting at which I'd like to attend also.
All right, so we'll check everybody's schedule and we'll get back to it. Is that good? And we'll resolve about it tomorrow.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, good. All right, so with that, if you'd like to bring up a chair, we have a request for 7 Vine Street for a replacement septic system and a request for a local waiver and state local upgrade approval. How you doing?
Good. Eric Dickinson. Oops, that's right. My name's Eric Dickinson. I'm with Civilized Solutions. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. The project is 7 Vine Street. It's located off Oregon Road, which is located off Oak Street. It's an existing 3-bedroom, single-family home. The current septic system is in the side yard. It is in failure. It's in the groundwater. There's also a wetland system to the back, in the backyard to the north. That being said, we did our testing on the side yard where the existing system is as well. We were able to design a system. It's going to be mounted and require a pump. There's also a garage here with a basement and a walkout area. There's a door where that 15-inch elm is. With those two constraints, we are requesting a variance from sizing the system for a garbage grinder because that grading would encroach in the wetland buffer area. It would also require that the applicant install a wall in through here in order to gain access to that basement area. The other variance we are requesting is from Title V. Title V requires 4 feet to groundwater for the bottom of the system. We'd like to go 3 feet. Again, it would provide less encroachment into that wetland buffer zone, which is, it's not really shown here, the flagging isn't shown, but it's on the edge of that lawn area.
What type of wall
That's
you gonna
about
put in?
it.
You gonna put in like a
If we
dry
did,
stack or?
if we didn't receive the variances, it would have to be it would probably be a dry stack type of wall, yeah, with an impervious barrier behind it, which would cost.
If you didn't receive, yeah.
If we didn't receive the
Right.
variances. As it stands right now, it looks like it would work, and they still would be able to gain access to that lower level of the garage. It's almost like an artist's studio up here,
Mhm.
and so we had to approach it the same as we would a house. It's like it's a full cellar, so we had to stay 20 feet off that garage.
All right, anybody have any questions?
Mark, can I ask a question? Between the 4 feet and the 3 feet requirement, what's the adverse effect that happens?
What's the adverse
I
effect
think the law requires a 4 feet groundwater requirement, and now
versus
they're asking for a 1
3
foot.
feet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what's the adverse effect that
You
happens?
have 1/4 less treatment, but the perk rate here was not sewer gravel, was not fast. You had an upper layer that perked at 3 minutes per inch, but the naturally occurring soil that's going to remain on site as well, percolation rate was 28 minutes per inch. So, and Eric, you can chime in, but the attenuation rate will be greater based on the perk rate. So there's less chance of having the effluent not having the time needed to cleanse through the soil based on the slower perk rate. And Eric, if you want to add to that, you're welcome to it.
Yeah, just before it reaches the groundwater elevation. Yeah, so it would take it takes a lot of time for that water to go through that soil.
A lot of sand up there.
And-
I live up close to there, so there's
Yeah.
a lot of sand.
And how far into the buffer zone that's there in the wetland?
We kind of just pulled tape, and I think the conservation agent agreed with it. We're about, you would assume that we assumed that the lawn area where it ends right there, I don't know if you can see on your plan, there's a tree line, that's where the wetland starts. As it stands now, we're about a little over 100 feet
Okay.
from that buffer.
The,
If we were to size it for a garbage grinder, it would be the system you see there and then another half, so it would be, you'd almost be at the 50-foot
50 feet.
buffer, yeah.
I assume that you haven't come before the Concom yet, is that right?
We're not required,
You're
because
not-
we are staying outside of that buffer.
Oh,
If-
outside the buffer zone.
If you did not grant this variance, we probably would have to go in front of conservation,
Oh,
yes.
KG's on conservation.
Oh,
Oh,
He has- he has a
Well-
keen interest in these plans.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was,
So don't
I was
worry.
not
All right.
attending a 1 month meetings there, so I thought probably check with him to make sure it's required or not required, or did or did not, so that way.
And I should note, at the last meeting, Mrs.
Yeah, that's
Margolis,
what I was actually,
yeah, she requested that in the future, that anytime a septic is going in, that the applicant notify the abutters. The applicant did go door to door, and
Oh,
I don't have
that's very
anything
sweet
in
of you.
writing.
Thank you.
but Yes, yeah.
actually, what I was looking for is the map, is this on a corner?
It's right where the road splits. It's-
It
Yeah,
appears
it is
like
on a corner.
It's on a
yeah.
corner, so there's no actually adjacent abut
Right,
to where it
correct.
says, okay.
Right.
That's what I was,
The person across the street
I
was
didn't have a
notified.
chance, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
It's a vacant home right now. It's under agreement, yeah.
okay.
And the lot next to it's vacant, but potential buildable lot.
Right. It's been there for a while.
On the other side, where the,
If you look at the locust plan, up on the upper right-hand side, you'll see the dot. Right next to the dot's the property line, and to the right of the property line is a lot that will be built someday. The applicant has been with us for many years, and the reason for that, there's an easement that goes through there, one of our utility easements. And I don't know if they've satisfied what the utilities wish to have, so that plan is sitting, waiting for utilities to give the go-ahead. It's ready for us, but not ready for the utilities, I guess, so we're still waiting on that plan. But there'd be no interference with this plan. They're off their property line by a safe distance.
Yeah, Eversource has the easement up there.
Is it Eversource?
Yeah, that's why the half pole is still there after all these years. Any other questions?
Mark, your recommendation on these requests?
I would recommend, well, both waivers, I know, as presented, be approved. The first waiver is to have design without a garbage grinder, and in past, we require that it be conditional to a deed recording or an attachment to the deed stating a garbage grinder is not allowed as long as the system's in place, and that an effluent filter, which is shown on the plan, be installed as part of the two conditions.
Will that present a problem to the owner
Not
in
at
the
all.
sale?
No,
So the buyers understand that,
yes.
that's coming.
Yep.
All right, do we want to take action on this?
Waiting for you, Charlie.
Yeah, any other questions?
It's your buttock.
Any other questions?
I'll entertain a motion.
All right, so I move that we grant a variance from the Ashland Board of Health Regulation 303-11 to allow for the subsurface sewage disposal system to be designed without a garbage grinder, with the conditions that no garbage grinder be installed within the house, a deed recording be placed on the property stating no garbage grinder shall be installed in the house while the subsurface sewage disposal system is in use, and that a septic tank effluent filter be also installed.
I'll second the motion.
All right.
I just wanted to ask my kind of typical question about any conflicts of interest. This individual doesn't work for the town or anything like that, is that correct?
The homeowner here?
Yeah.
No, not at
Okay,
all. No.
thank you.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Well, that was easy.
And then they have one more variance.
One more.
It's a local upgrade approval, which is a state-allowed approval. The state gives that authority to the Board of Health. So the wording on the waiver is on the plan as well as the letter that you have. And based on the information provided by the engineer, I would suggest that be waived.
So I move that we grant a waiver of 310 CMR 15.405 LH to allow the bottom of the soil absorption system to be installed 3 feet above the seasonal high groundwater versus 4 feet due to the site constraints.
I'll second.
So with the second, any further discussion?
That's fine. Wait a second.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
Have the owner you call tomorrow, we'll work on the deed recording with you.
All right, thanks. Have a good night. Good to see you. Thank you. All right, next agenda. I don't know if he'll be coming here, but he is a local legend, even though he doesn't live here.
That's true.
Bill Gath, our friend Bill Gath from the Ashland Day Committee, is asking for a waiver of the permit fee for the upcoming Ashland Day.
Just point of note, point of interest, or what a point, is to let the board know this has been done in the past. It's nothing new that we haven't seen, and it's based on the fact that Ashland Day supports your local fireworks and other town projects. So the board, in previous decisions, allowed that to occur based on the give and take of what they do for the city, a town. Sorry, I'm in the city right now, sorry
Yeah.
about that. I wasn't there too long yesterday.
The big city.
Yes, in the town of Ashland.
The request mark here says, from Bill, says, we're asking a waiver to let the vendors in the food tent to operate under the Ashland Day Committee. Do they have a permit for Ashland Day? Is that it?
That's what happens.
So it's like a blanket
Ashland Day
permit.
takes them under their umbrella,
Yeah, okay.
but they can't come in unless they have a permit somewhere, so.
It's for one
most of them
vendor
are-
or all the vendors you're talking?
All the vendors. Most of the vendors are from Ashland. You will see one church in there usually. I don't know if they'll be there this year, but they will, okay. So you see a church, mostly pizza facilities. I think we have 5 or 6 pizza facilities
Would-
that
would-
offer.
Would you have a list of them at least sometime?
I will soon. I've been after that from the committee to get me that list. And when we do get the list, I give them calls to make sure they're ready. It's become very routine. They've been, I'd say the majority of them have been doing it 25 years
Yep,
now.
yep.
So,
More than that now.
well,
I think we're only
It's
on
31.
28.
31.
Yeah.
I think it's 31 this year.
they're familiar with what's required when you do outside vending.
Depending on how we do, I'll send Bill an email tonight, and then I'll have him get in touch with you tomorrow.
Sure.
Sense of urgency a little bit.
So they don't have the list yet, it's 11 days off.
That is correct.
And what type of permit is the Ashland Day Committee permitted? Do they have a food permit? Will these be
Yes, it's a-
inspected?
It's a temporary food permit.
The Ashland Day Committee themselves have a temporary.
They are the ones that obtain the temporary food permit for the vendors that do show. That is correct.
They have one already in place.
No.
They will be getting a food
Yes.
permit.
Yes.
And that will come to this committee?
It's here tonight for your review.
Oh, I don't see it in the,
The request is here tonight, okay.
could you
The-
clarify that, please?
The request is here tonight, per Bill Gath's request.
You
have this,
right?
I don't know if you have the email, and the paperwork will follow, is what I'm trying to say. And this is something that occurs typically on fairs, based on the fact that they have last-minute vendors. So that's why the board is being asked to approve it, based on my review.
So what you're saying is we are asking for a waiver to let the vendors in the food tent to operate under the Ashland Day Committee and waive individual permits is actually a request for the Ashland Day Committee to have a food permit.
They will get a temporary food permit, and
They will get, but they haven't asked for it yet, but
they
you're saying
have,
this is
through
a
this
request?
here. And then They've asked for
Those
it back in
words.
August, the committee members. Again, they just don't know exactly outside of the pizza facilities. They have the normal, every year vendors, but then sometimes they pick up a vendor here and there. So they'll finalize that list, and they promise me that they will have that hopefully within the next few days. They're wrapping up their final parts of this event as well.
If I'm not mistaken, Mark, any of those vendors that come in have to show proof
Correct.
of a license from whatever town they are in or
Correct.
they work in. So they are licensed, but for this one day, they work under the Ashland Ashland Day Committee.
That is correct.
And as Mark said earlier, that they are permitted somewhere along the line, just
Exactly.
not necessarily, in the town. They are permitted somewhere along the town.
My question is there a difference between the Dragonfly Festival and this one? There we ask each individual to apply and get permit here, and then here we don't.
They're very,
What's the difference there?
the difference is the Dragonfly Committee was offered this, and they don't want to take the liability, where Ashland Day is willing to take the liability.
So that's part of the,
Right.
Significant difference.
of course it is.
And you have to remember, I mean, the Ashland Day Committee's been doing this for 30-plus years.
Yeah.
It's run by the chairman of the Board of Selectmen in
Right.
town, Mr. Mignani,
Right.
and Bill Gath has done it. I'm also a member of the committee as well, so
Yeah.
it's on.
I'm aware,
It's a good thing, and you'll be there.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just surprised that as a Board of Health, we get such a limited piece of information, because this is really just asking for a waiver, and it's not asking for them to be permitted, and you say that there's a policy in place. Is that their policy, or do we have a
Did I
copy
say
of
there
that
was a
on?
policy?
I don't
I'm not
remember
for
saying that.
sure.
We said there was a policy. in
But
place.
That
I
this
said
is
it's been
typically, what were your
past-
words, Mary? I think that's what you said, this is
past
all what they...
practice, maybe, is
Past
what I
practice.
said.
It's been prior practice
That's practice, yeah.
for 30-odd years. The Ashland Day Committee always came and got the permit, and then they took the responsibility of monitoring the other people that come in and making sure that they have a permit from their town, and that's furnished to Mark.
So the Ashland Day Committee goes through a process. So if we
They-
ever needed to, we could get that information from them because they have
Well,
that.
we've already
If-
discussed
if I-
that. We're
if
going
I
through the
may-
process now, and I told you I would get the list from Mr. Gath
Yeah.
after tonight's meeting.
If I may interpret what these two
Yeah.
are saying is that the National Day Committee would take the responsibility on securing, make sure they have their individual
Correct.
permits and everything. So they will oversee their requirement, and they will have a permit, and they will operate under
Correct.
the National Committee permit. Okay.
And you'll be there and I'll
To
be
clarify,
there.
I asked that because when I look at the paperwork within this department, I see that even though it's been custom in the past to do things, there's oftentimes not that clear record keeping. So, food safety is very important, and I'm not dismissing that as a member of the Board of Health. So, I understand that everyone here appears to have an understanding of what has happened in the past. I'm just trying to ask questions in order to make sure that the public is thoroughly protected, because I would suspect, John, you probably have been trained as a food individual, but, these are lay people like most people are.
For the record, my experience is only 1 year.
All right, so does the board want to take action on this?
I would make a motion that we grant the request of the Ashland Day Committee for the waiver
Second.
for individual permits.
So
I second that.
further discussion?
I was hoping that you might be able to modify that contingent upon having a list provided to our office, or the Health Department office.
I see no need of that. Past practice has been fine.
I don't see a harm if there is not going to work.
We're going to get a copy of all of it from the Ashland Day
I
Committee.
understand, but
we don't need
if it's as
to,
a part of the record, then it'll be easier, so
we
I
just
don't
don't need
force
to
it.
keep killing trees for paper. When it's been a past practice, there's never been a problem, and we will get any information that we want. I don't see a problem with it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. So, I will reach out and I'll CC the board on my request to Mr. Gath and Mr. Mignani, and they'll provide us
Yeah.
a list
While- John,
ASAP.
John, while you're on that topic of
Yep.
Ashland Day, and based on the experience that we had on the Ashland Farmers Market,
Mhm.
the number of visits that the people came to attend were about 80 to 100. I thought it may be a right time to have the Board of Health represent itself at the Ashland Day and enhance the presence and bring the awareness, if that's okay with the fellow board members, and I'm willing to volunteer for it. And maybe we could have
I
a.
was going to invite you, KG, but that's okay, that's
Okay.
on
And
my
also,
agenda.
and also we'll have a new topic, maybe we could talk about water quality and then give them more information about it, because last time we had spectrum of age group, different material that we distributed, and most people were interested in it, and then it's a good presence.
Mr. Chair, if you don't
Yep,
mind,
go
can I
ahead.
jump to
Yeah,
that?
please. do.
If that's
Yeah,
okay with the,
I know you want to jump.
No, please,
It's
go
okay
ahead.
to move around. If, KG, if you don't mind, I'll bring it right up right now, then the agenda item number 7,
yeah, I
G.
saw that.
and it was an invite to the board to let you know we're having a booth with the Ashland Medical Reserve Corps, which is a branch of the Board of Health, the Green Up Ashland Committee, which was under our authority, but we've empowered them to be their own committee, but we work with them as the community, town, community and town, or, schools as well, that we work together, so they will be there, as well as the Board of Health. So we'll section off 3 places on the table, and
That-
we'll all work together.
That may not be enough, because if we provide more information, if we can get another tent put up, that'd be good for us.
They're pretty limited, so
was gonna say
usually
they're
it's
a little
the,
late
usually
too.
it's the Medical
Yeah.
Reserve Corps and the Board of Health, but Green Up needed a space, so we're gonna share. And we'll have space. In fact, what sometimes you can do is like, you can go outside of the
We-
tent area.
We couldn't
Green
get
Up-
another tent if you wanted to?
That's not up to us, it's
Yeah,
up to
it's
the
up to
Ashland
the-
Day Committee, and I
it's
think
up to
they're
the-
all, I think they got their matrix all
They
set.
don't
We've-
squeeze, you think? With you
we've done
being
it
on the
be-
committee, you should be able to
well,
squeeze
Well,
one,
but if you
John.
squeeze one, it's a domino effect, you
Yeah.
squeeze.
Squeeze
everybody.
If
Squeeze
Green
everybody,
Up,
so.
Green Up won't
We'll
take
worry
the
about the
space.
domino effect for the
No, but,
subsequent.
once again,
We
past
work together.
practices, we'll have plenty of room.
Yeah,
Plenty-
we really
plenty of
will.
room.
We've done it before, and
No,
it
you
works out.
should have come to the Ashland Farmers Market to see whether there was enough room. We didn't.
Oh, really?
I had a
Yeah,
nice
we had-
report
you know,
back.
the selectmen were waiting outside. They said, hey, you guys took our room. So
It doesn't work that way with Ashland Day. We have
That's-
plenty of room.
that's where we want to have a
We have plenty of seats.
a visible presence of Board of Health will be vital for providing more room.
We have 10 feet. So
Yeah, I-
what we do is we take 6 feet with one table, and then we take the other table and do an L shape. And that allows us to go outside too. Green Up's gonna have pens they're gonna hand out. So they'll probably be working on the outside perimeter, but there'll be plenty of room for the Board of Health and the Medical Reserve Corps on the inside. We won't kick them out of the tent area if it rains or anything.
And then,
But it should work out.
Mark, I don't think you have a sense of what happened on
I don't.
that day. That's why it was quite apparent that we needed more room
Okay.
than what we had.
No, but in years past, when we've always had.
I know,
we've always had
but
people
things do
there.
change,
No,
and
I know.
then we need to put our presence more. Now, one thing that we have done is come up on the TV that has brought more people to audiences, to listening and then giving us comments about their views. So
I'm
putting
very
a big
confident.
presence up there in the field is vital, and then we shouldn't be silent on sitting down and say, we are there. No, we are there, we need to make sure that we are there.
We will be.
Public
So
health.
if somehow you can use your better office to get that space, that would be a very, very commendable job for us.
Well, I'm very confident on the crown jewel event of this town every year that our neighbors will be as accommodating as possible too, if there is, and there won't be a space restriction. Everybody is always very, very cooperative that day, and let's all pray for a beautiful day, so.
Oh,
And I'm glad John brought that up, because if need be, I know other committees will work with us, so we'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll be
I know
good.
we'll be okay. We have, put it this way, over the past 25 years of doing this booth, we've been okay.
things do change
True.
and improve.
True.
Things
So
do
we'll-
change and
we'll
improve.
see. If it does, I have a feeling
Yeah.
open space might help us, so we'll be okay.
They need the open space, they don't want it.
Yeah, they've got plenty of open.
That's why I
Last
said
thing we-
open space.
All right,
Yeah,
I
Roberta,
don't want to
last
take
thing
too
we
much
need
of
is
time,
more
but
open
I've made my
space, all right,
point
good.
clear.
Thank you.
Kidding, kidding. All right, let's move
I
around
was
on
wondering if I could have a little clarification. Medical Reserve Corps, how is that organized to be under the Board of Health? How does that happen?
Back in, if I may.
I mean-
Please, go ahead.
If I may, I'll answer that.
It's one of the nice things that we do.
Yes, it is. Back in 2004, we were charged at setting up a medical reserve corps, and through that time period, and I think around 2006, after meetings with the state and setting up regional groups for public health emergency preparedness, the action took place right here in this room, so it had to be around 2006. We invited, Mary, were you on the board in 2006? We invited people to come to our meeting, and we had quite a few show. This whole room was filled.
Yeah, it was packed.
And, so you do remember too, John. And we've been fortunate, the Medical Reserve Corps being a branch of the Board of Health, we've been fortunate in respect to the chairperson. We've had the same chairperson for the past 12 years or so, and 10 years. And he's been very diligent in his work. He's actually involved with the national groups as well. His name is Michael Gurnick, and he will be coming to a meeting very soon. He wants to drop in, so he'll give an update. I don't want to steal too much of the fire, but I did want to give the board a little bit of the history. And Mike will be invited probably in October, November to give a presentation to the board, and you'll get to meet him on Ashland Day if you drop in.
Incidentally, we do have the second Ashland Farmers Day Board of Health present on the 24th September, so if any of you want to join us, that'd be good.
And what oversight, or how is that, I'm still not following under the Board of Health. I mean, I've been on the Board of Health approximately a little over a year now, and it's the first time, I believe, the topic's even come up at a meeting.
I can let you know that I brought it up more than several times while you're on the board. I'll bring the minutes to the next meeting.
Do they have meetings?
They do.
And how do we find out about those?
Once they get them posted, I bring it to the Board of Health. So they're presently planning a meeting sometime in the near future, such as maybe towards the end of September or middle of September. Mike Gurnick sets those meetings. He does come in to visit me first, so I'll check with him and send out a notice to the board. It'd be great to have involvement. And as
They're
I
not
said,
always here, but they're mostly.
yeah, mostly here, and as noted prior, I think they would appreciate any help they could get from the board as well as the public.
Would we be able to ask them to send those, like, just an email, quick email to Board of Health?
Sure.
The Board of
I
Health
can
email
send it-
address, so
he'll
that
send
we
it to
can
me, and
get
I'll
kept
send
in
it
the
to the
loop?
board.
Oh,
But he does, doesn't he?
I've never,
And
no,
you're- yeah, I mean,
I
that's
haven't gotten it. Have you gotten one?
Past practice. I mean, he's been coming to Ashland Day for
Many
10
years.
years now, yeah.
Well, he has come to the farmer's market, I've seen him.
Actually, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But not these meetings.
He has been to these
I was
meetings.
gonna, yeah, I
In the last year?
I don't think he's been in the last
In the
year, but
last
he
year,
has
probably
been
not,
previously.
don't think he's been here at this meeting,
It's-
but he's had a meeting here since I
I'm
think
not
even
doubting-
I've been back on the board, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting that he's in town and that it functions. I'm just questioning the relationship, I guess,
In fact,
because.
we had a meeting in
because I've-
August with,
Was
go
it
ahead.
You had,
Sorry.
they had a meeting in August?
I did with Michael. He came to the office. We go over notes, and the suggestion at that time was to make sure he gets to the Board of Health. So he is planning to do it.
Okay, great.
Okay.
We should have that relationship if he's under the Board of Health. And the other question, Green Up groups, we empowered them to be, so are they under someone, or are they just are they like Decisions at Every Turn, just an independent group not affiliated with?
They're
Are they under the
independent.
Board of
They're now-
Selectmen?
They're now independent.
Independent.
A little history, though. Originally, we were in charge of the recycling programs, and we used to get Massachusetts Recycling Initiative Program funds. And those funds helped to start the recycling program, as well as to help start the Green Up program. So the Board of Health was the original creator of Green Up Day. It used to be called Clean Up Ashland Day a while back, and the members are great. We have 4 strong members that keep this group going, and they thought maybe it's best to change the name just to move it along and change things up a little bit, but they always have Clean Up, Green Up Ashland Day on the first Saturday of every May.
Yep.
We change that as a group, and they do meet here. They meet to coordinate. They start in January, and they start working towards the goal of having everything ready by the first Saturday in May. And I have to say, and they were empowered after the money from the Mass Recycling Initiative program went away. They started looking for funding, which I can't be part of, because that's a conflict of interest. And they started doing that research and became their own group. And we assist, just as the schools do, to help them move that that yearly day along. And they present themselves at Farmers Market and other places, and that's why they'll be with us. They want to have that booth with us so they can present. They're going to give out pens is what I believe they're doing. I hope I didn't take that away from the surprise, but they'll have the logo on it, Green Up Ashland, so it should be fun.
We had a nice presentation, what, about 2 years ago, maybe? Governor Baker came in, or
Yes.
gave them the citations and everything for all the hard work that they did and everything like that. And that's about the time that we, Governor, remember when we gave them the citations? Yeah. So-
Yes, the event was very well run this year. I thought it was really great. I missed most of you. I'm not sure who I bumped into, but I was curious because I read about it in, I think it was the directions. I read about it in the newspaper, and I think it was an article that you wrote, Mark, concerning, this was being done with the Board of Health, and I had to read upon myself out of meetings. So I was just
Yeah.
curious why.
Well, I invited
Those
the board at a
communications.
meeting back in April. Maybe you missed that meeting, but the board was invited, as I always do. You're always invited, but it was brought up.
It was before the Board of Health meeting, yeah.
Oh,
All
it
right.
was before the Board of Health meeting?
Yeah, just an announcement,
It was-
just
yeah,
to let you
yeah.
know.
Yep.
It was when it would be.
Yeah.
So,
All right, let's move around because I think this is important. Let's go to item 8 on the agenda, acceptance of minutes, because I don't want to run out of time before we do get to acceptance of minutes. So we've got June 21st, 2016, July 19th, and July 25th in front of us. So everybody had a chance to review?
a long time ago. Yes.
Does anybody want to make any additions, corrections, altercations?
Okay.
I'm sorry?
I'm just taking
Talking
one
to
at a
yourself?
time. I'm talking to myself.
I do that a lot, too. I get answers, though.
Well, excuse me, I reviewed via WACA the tape for the June 21st meeting, because I was not present for that meeting.
Okay.
Then reviewed the minutes and submitted some addendums, which I see are in the copies presented this evening. So I'm fine to make a motion to accept the June 21st, 2016 minutes as presented this evening with the amendments in them.
I also reviewed the meeting on WACA, so I feel that I can also vote on this, and I would second that motion.
All right, so it's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Yes, I continue to add that the minutes, because of the way they're written, do not accurately reflect what occurred. I'll just give you a couple examples, but it's throughout the minutes, and in order to re-listen to this and then correct the minutes, these are long meetings. I don't have the extra 8 to 10 hours it takes to actually go and modify what's in front of me, but it is a continuing problem. So I will give you a couple examples. Second page, second paragraph, third line. Improper cold holding and hand washing, I believe. It was not improper segregation of foods, is what Diane Passafaro stated. Ms. Barr, let's see, there were many other things in there. For instance, Ms. Margulies inquired about the importance of displaying the food permit. What I really questioned was,
Where are you? I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry, that's the third paragraph down,
Okay, I see.
in the middle of the paragraph. I'm just giving you a couple of examples, how things in the minutes are just really not reflective in order to inform the public. So Ms. Margulies inquired about the importance of displaying the food permit. What I actually inquired about was, what I stated was that I did a random survey of 6 facilities, and I found that 3 of them did not have a displayed permit, and one of them actually even went to look for it in their back room and said that they didn't have it. Ms. Pasfaro's response was similar to what's here, but not exactly. So there's a response from her, but my question was not clearly stated in the minutes. Those are just two examples. I mean, I could give you a couple other ones. Toward the end, I mean, it was very obvious in this last page, page 7, acceptance of minutes, and during many of these conversations, I kept telling the chair, Mr. Featherston, that I felt that I was being bullied, and there was quite a long conversation. This was a 4.5-hour meeting. And most of those interactions aren't in here, and as supplementary as they may seem, they do affect my ability to function as a board member when those types of things are occurring. And so therefore, they could indirectly or directly affect my ability to function in terms of offering comments and participating.
Can I just stop you right there?
Sure.
Where are you seeing this, acceptance of minutes of May 24th? and
Well,
June
in this general area of the
So you're,
tape,
to quote you, I bullied you. Should that be in here?
there should be the
Because I would ask you that you
statements.
retract that statement,
Well, you
because I don't think I've ever bullied you. You might not agree with me, and I would respectfully ask that you retract the fact that you are labeling me as a bully in public. If you feel that way, let's have that conversation. But I don't see how it's applicable to this paragraph.
Well, in this segment, what you kept asking me was, what's your agenda, what's your agenda? You kept repeating those words, and I requested certain things in response. None of that conversation is in here. So,
On June 21st, I did that.
so on page 6, in the first full paragraph under vaccines, I had asked a question concerning the freezer. That's not in here, and for shingles vaccines, that's specifically important. There's many things here that just are consistent. It's replenished throughout. Replete.
So anything else specific to the June 21st, 2016? Seeing none and seeing no further conversation, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Abstain.
So 3-1-1. Board want to take action on the July 19th meeting minutes?
I move to accept the July 19th, 2016 minutes as presented with the corrections included.
I second that.
Motion and a second. Further discussion?
I have the same concerns that throughout the minutes, they are not accurate. And
Do you have any
the way
specifics?
that they are being produced causes too big a burden to spend hours and hours trying to go back sentence by sentence and correct the items.
So no specific revisions you want to make, typos or anything? Seeing none?
I
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question.
Sure.
As a corollary to this minute. On page 7 of this minute,
Okay.
the top, it says Narayana suggested corrections, 7 July minutes. Mr. Oram said he would review the audio and incorporate the changes. I did not hear back from him to see whether that was done or not done. I know the minutes have been adopted. I can go back and look at it, but I just want to clarify that if Mr. Mark Oram remembers if that correction is adopted or not adopted.
How many times have you talked to Mark since July 7th? Maybe 100?
I don't talk, I send email.
I've been in the office when you've called him. Come on.
For other things.
I've been in town hall when I've seen you talking to him, so.
I mean, I know that it's hard.
I don't know. I mean,
It's
if I
hard for
wanted
them
an
to
answer
recollect
from a
here,
July
but-
7th meeting, I wouldn't bring it up on September 7th. You know, I like wait till like the 9th or the 10th of July.
At least I brought it this year, not next year.
Okay.
You know, I'll give you just a quick look here. I don't even know how someone could include this. Page 6. It's in the first partial paragraph. Ms. Margulies said 0 Magunka Road is on the plume. I'm sure I would not have said on, I would have said in. And there is a difference on that. And what was supposed to be a garage was turned out to be a 7-floor office and workspace. 7-floor office and workspace. And we should look into our architectural guidelines. That is not how I would have phrased the question. And why would anyone be putting a 7-floor building in that location? Would anyone believe that I had said those words?
I would believe if Laura transcribed it, then that's what you said, yes. I would believe that, to answer that. Because she goes painstakingly through the audio to listen to
If you didn't, you can just let me know and I can re-listen to it.
Well, it's, those types of things are everywhere. And so it's really the lack of a summary, it's the lack of clarity on many of these items that takes hours and hours to go through these. And it's really a process problem.
That should be easy to
And,
find.
and
Yeah,
I
it should be able
actually,
to find.
I actually don't believe that it's good for us to discuss it in terms of a particular person. I think it's a process, and we should be looking at process and procedures, rather than putting names on things. I don't think that that's productive.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Does the board want to take action? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
I abstain.
All right, July 25th, 2016 meeting minutes.
So those have been already approved, Mr. Chairman.
That is correct.
I believe
We
there's
do
just
have
a
a
question of
a
income.
prepared statement.
Yes,
Uh,
an attachment that's missing.
Right. And Ms. Margulies did respond to my public records request. You guys have all seen that response to the public records request? I did follow up with council. Council does not agree with Ms. Margulies. Do you want to pass these around?
John,
Please.
would we be violating OML if it's not on the agenda?
It is on the agenda.
That's-
With respect to,
What is
town
this?
council does not agree with
Where
your,
is that in agenda?
we're talking about the missing statements
Right.
from the meeting minutes. It's all right there on the agenda. What the interpretation of council was is that you are not an employee of the state. And that the Mass General Law, Chapter 4, 7, Clause number 26 is for employees of the state, which none of us here, well, actually I am, I'm an employee of the state, but,
Mass General Law 268A clearly defines who are employees.
right, and the only one that is, well, Mark
Well,
is.
including the elected,
Yeah.
elected officials are also
No,
considered.
elected town
Well,
officials are
look-
not.
Look back in the definition in
Oh, I
Mass
did,
General
I
68,
did, and so did
268.
council. So did council. You have her response right here.
Whose?
Lisa Mead's town council's response is that we not. Now, Mark is an employee, and I'm a state employee because I'm an appointed official by the governor. So I'm a state employee, but nobody else here, unfortunately, is. So, in that clause of the law is if you attended a meeting to prepare for this meeting, and you wrote notes down, those would not be open to the public records.
Right.
But since you prepared a statement, I would respectfully ask you one more time if you would give us those for the public meeting records.
I have a question.
And if not, I pretend to pursue it all the way to the Attorney General's office.
I have a question.
Sure.
We were just passed out this paper.
Mhm.
At one of the last meetings, you made the statement that we, as board members, could not go to the town council, because the town council, I believe your specific words, works for the town manager
Correct?
and the board of selectmen, and you would need their permission. So in order to get this, to discuss this, did you do this as an individual, and you went to the town manager for permission to get Lisa Mead to consult? You know, we've had, I believe it was Donna Walsh's husband here, I think it was the last meeting.
Couple meetings ago.
That, you know, it was her husband complimenting Mark, but also expressing concern that within the community, the use of town council's time. So could you explain how you made that public records request and how you obtained her consultation?
I would love to.
Sure.
Many requests were made for you by Mr. Oram to provide those statements. You either ignored or chose not to respond to those. We brought it up in 2 public meetings, if I'm not mistaken. And I feel that you chose to ignore that as well. To keep, to do things the proper way, I did end up doing a public records request that I did through the town clerk. And once you do it through the town clerk, it does become a town matter. And as the chairman of the Board of Health, I do have access to town council through the town manager, who I did go through. He and I discussed it, and we did go through it. And then when I responded to it, I did a follow-up response. As you can see, it's all right here. And that's the response back to council.
I disagree with your process and your
Well, of course you do.
procedures. And also your statements, because what you are saying is that I ignored. And I take,
that is
excuse
my
me, I am
opinion.
talking,
That
Mr.
is
Chair.
my
Could you
opinion.
please allow me to finish? I
Please.
allowed you to finish.
Please.
Okay. May I speak now without interruption?
You don't have to editorialize, just speak your piece.
What did you say, Charlie?
You don't have to editorialize, just speak your piece.
Well, Mr. Featherston got quite what I would consider an attitude when he said those
I
items.
do have an attitude about it.
Excuse me, I'm being interrupted again. So, I even lost my train of thought. Oh, okay, so this did come up at meetings. I did give a response at a meeting. And then I said at the second meeting that I had no further comments. So that is my position, and I stand by my previous comments. I have nothing more to add on this subject.
John,
Yes.
I'm looking right at Chapter 268A.
Take it up with council, Casey. I'm
Section
not trying to
1.
be curt, but I'm
No,
not
no,
council.
let me make the statement here, and
Okay.
then you can take it up, or I will take it up with the...
Sure, please.
Section 1, it says under G, municipal employee, it includes a municipal agency member is by election or by appointment.
It's state,
Yes,
not
it-
local.
Local. It's a government employee.
Well, you know what? There's no attorneys at this table who work for the Department of Public Records. So I would recommend that if we have questions, that we get the authorities. Lisa Mead, obviously, by the words of the Board of Selectmen, have made mistakes in some of her opinions. And just because she makes these comments to you, John, via your request concerning items like this, she has done similar things for a member of the Board of Selectmen recently. And I question who she's working for and what she's working for when she does this, and I just asked that question. So I would recommend that I make no further comments, because this is not a decision that can be made here if we have a disagreement.
I'm not asking for a decision, if I may. What I'm asking for is you provide the documents, because we've tried to do it the friendly way, we've tried to do it the board way, and now I'm pursuing the legal way. And I would ask, it's just a simple matter, that you produce the documents. If you choose not to, I'm just telling you, I will continue to pursue it.
Which documents are you referring to?
Judy, it's all laid out in
No,
your...
no, let's do it, because there are people here watching, and I suspect that they think that this is something really, really important. So one of the things that you requested of me was my personal notes. So this is the agenda today. You see, I have put some writing on here. At one of the meetings, Mr. Featherston asked me for my copy with my personal jotted
Actually, I thought it was you.
notes on it. Someone did. I thought it was you, John, but you asked it for me in that request for public records. So he considers my writings on this paper a public record versus my own personal notes.
That's, I think, if I could be mistaken, and
And-
I don't want to get bogged down in the argument, I
and-
think you're misinterpreting it.
Yes.
And the
You're
other,
grossly misinterpreting it.
well, that was the article. I wrote things that were personal to me. And the second thing that he requested, just to be clear for individuals, is that I feel that constantly I am harassed, I am bullied at these meetings. I get attitude from several individuals here. This has been going on since the October meeting, where coincidentally, I started asking questions, but at the same time, unbeknownst to me, the IG's office was contacting the town manager concerning their investigation. And coincidentally,
coincidence.
I'm finishing, please, and coincidentally, I was asking questions. And I requested that we be on camera because I saw inconsistencies happening during the conversations at meetings. So I wanted us to be on camera so those people in the community could watch. And so since that time, I have been given a very difficult time if anybody is really watching this. So during that meeting, I came prepared with notes. Now, I didn't, in order to make a verbal oral statement. And what Mr. Featherston is saying is that my notes on that piece of paper are public record, even though I didn't even follow what was on the paper. I followed some of it, but not all of it. And he is claiming that those notes are public record that I used to guide my statements. That's the second thing. The third thing I don't even remember, but it was of such great importance that Mr. Featherston is going to take this to and has used the town resources to get Ms.
I
Mead's,
haven't used any town resources.
Ms. Mead's opinion. She did this for free?
John,
She works on her retainer, so this would be
Yeah.
covered under her retainer.
John, I thought you sent something today or yesterday, what is that? Some papers that she
Ms.
gave you
Margulies'
copies.
response back to
Yeah,
to me.
but she had some copies of whatever that you had asked for, isn't it?
Yeah, with their
It's
black
different.
and black, that's
That's a
different.
different-
That's different.
It's a different
John?
We're playing politics here,
May
so,
I?
yes, please.
Who's playing politics?
I'd
Um,
just like to
politics,
ask a
no,
question.
Politics, define that, please.
Judith?
He just
Ma-
made an
Mary's playing-
he
Mary's
just
speaking.
made an
You'll have an opportunity
accusation.
to speak.
You just made an
Oh,
accusation.
I'm gonna make some more, so don't worry.
This
I
is really
just have a simple
unfortunate.
question. Is there anything that you see that this board has done correctly since you've been here? I have not heard one thing. All I've heard is you rake over the other members, the secretary, the health agent, the attorney, the board of selectmen. Nobody does anything right except you. And I think that's a big problem. That's all.
Judy, we've got a real problem.
Oh, can I answer to the political thing? I understand,
Go ahead.
I understand that you use that word a lot, because I've heard it before at these meetings.
Okay?
The word political. Political has certain inferences, and I think you are way off base in using that. I am an experienced healthcare professional who really cares about health, about public health. And that's
So
the
do a lot of other people at this
And that's the
table.
only reason I got on this board, is because I really do believe that I can contribute a lot, and I do ask questions. So if anyone has questions of me, feel free to reach out to me to see who I am as an individual, because this classification of these individuals who have not appreciated the questions I ask of the individuals who come here or the things that we do in terms of public health. They don't appreciate it. Some of my fellow board members don't appreciate it. They should really, in my opinion, work to discuss public health issues. We should be talking about I'm not personally insulted by any of these things. None of these things do I take personally. What I am offended by is that we don't have bicycle safety in terms of the grant that this town has on this agenda. We're not seriously talking about how to effectively implement immunizations and preventative health in terms of infectious disease. We're not talking about KG's suggesting in terms of mosquito and vector-borne disease. We're not talking about those things. Mr. Featherston has decided on those two items that I discussed, those two seriously offensive items that I refuse to share, although I made a public statement that someone can make a transcript of if they want. He wanted my notes. And because I have not provided those notes because I believe that they're personal, he has decided to use town resources, Ms. Mead's resources, which someone came to their meeting and complained about. He's decided to do that. He's decided to use the staff's resources because Laura and Mark get paid for sitting here. He's decided to use the WACA resources when I want to talk about items of public health, and that's seriously what I want on our agenda.
John.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Sure, go ahead.
I need to correct some statements. Laura and I are not sitting here, just sitting here. We are part of this team, And we will
Vital
not
part of
let
this
this team fail and fall. I've been part of this team for 30-plus years, and I know I'm starting to repeat things that other previous people that just repeated themselves on. But it needs to be repeated. And it needs to be repeated that we are open, as your staff, all of you, to work on projects. We are inviting the health nurse to the next meeting. So that talks about, that goes with the vaccine and I'd like to finish, and our member, Mary Mortensen, has been part of that team as it relates to vaccines for all the years I've been here, volunteering her time. Thank you, Mary. It really is appreciated, because this town is safer thanks to you.
Thank you.
And the time you have put into this town as a registered nurse. Also, Zika,
A registered nurse?
if I may, Mr. Chair. See, I was wondering if I could finish.
Sorry.
Well, there's different rules for
Sorry,
different
Mark,
people.
sorry,
Thank you,
Mark.
Judy.
I know there's going
I
to be
don't
the
know if that's a
I know there's going to be the
No,
sarcasm.
Judy.
I'll just sit and
I'm
listen
not
to
going to
your
have a direct
sarcasm.
conversation with you because I feel you bully me. Thank you. Just by interrupting, that's a form of bullying, and you can smile
And
and laugh.
laughing at him is
That's
also.
that's not a
is
professional way to
disrespectful.
handle yourself, in my view.
I get
Not your
it,
view.
Mark.
You get it. I hope you do, because I want to work with you as a team member like everyone else here. But to be a team member means you work with us, not against us. And I felt that what was said by Mary is so true. I haven't heard a compliment about what we have done.
Mr. Chair,
If-
we're not talking
if I
about
may,
public
Mr. Chair,
hearing.
I'm not
I
talking.
honestly am
Our
going to
health
make a
agent
point.
has the floor,
I'm
so-
going to make
Chair,
a
I'm
point
not-
of
No,
order
excuse me.
because
Excuse
these
me.
are personal
Judy.
attacks.
She's
Judy, I'm gonna-
bullying
This
me,
is an
Mr. Chair.
opportunity
Judy,
for
I'm-
these individuals here to
Judy,
make
I'm
personal
going to
attacks.
ask you to
This
stop.
is a point of order. I'm
I'm
requesting the
going to-
chair a point of order.
I'm going to ask that
John.
you stop.
Point of order, please.
You had your,
Chair,
John.
point of order.
Mark, go ahead
I'm
and
going to finish
finish.
on the two other items, just so you know the time.
Go
I
ahead and
won't
finish.
spend more than another 20 seconds the most. The other notes I want to make, because these accusations keep flying out, is that Zika, we have been involved with the Zika virus with the state, going to a session on it, dealing with KG, who's been very involved, including with our wetlands people, because that's KG's expertise on the other side of this, as well as it relates to, and we're working towards stormwater retention detention ponds, which will be discussed later in the agenda. And last but not least, bicycle safety was mentioned, so I want to address all of them. And bicycle safety, this board is the leader in the state when it comes to head concussions.
Yep.
This board,
Leaps and
thanks to
bounds above.
members here and previous members, and I don't mind educating the board on this because I think it's important, are some of the greatest leaders in this state when it comes to head concussions. This board brought about head concussion regulations to others besides what the school enforces, and that would be the sports groups that are not part of the schools, and members like Malcolm Smart deserve credit, as well as other
Dr.
members.
Reep, Mary
Dr.
Mortensen. Mary
Dr. Reep, Mary, and others deserve all the credit in the world for all these leaps and bounds, and I hope that this board will continue with these leaps and bounds. There's so much more to do. As a pharmacist, I know, Judy, you have a lot to offer. KG, I know you have a lot to offer as your science background, you know, as well as the coring. I really found that interesting. Mary has, Charlie has a lot to offer. Charlie knows the business side of what we do. We all have a lot to offer. Instead of just going at each other, let's work together as a team. That's all I ask. It'll make everyone's life here a lot easier, and we move forward on newer projects that were just mentioned. Thank you.
John.
That's exactly what I had just asked Mr. Featherston to do, is let's have public health on our agenda, not these personal attacks, because.
Nope, there's been no
because
personal
the-
attack
I'm
this
sorry,
evening,
I'm
and I would
talking
ask
once
that you
again.
retract that statement.
Mr. Oram said lots of things that I didn't agree with just now, but I'm
That's
trying to
surprise.
grab onto the something where we could have a mutual agreement, and that is how our agendas are prepared. Since Mary has not been preparing them, we're looking at some improvements now. But.
Here we go again.
But this,
That's a
but-
giant.
And that's
Judy,
not an
well,
accusation.
well,
Judy,
excuse me,
I'm
Mark
gonna ask
Oram
you
said
to
that.
retract
Mark
statement,
Oram said
and
that.
please conduct yourself
Bully,
under the
bully,
oath
bully.
that you took
That
to
is a
uptake
bully.
your
Oh,
position here on the
please
Board of
stop
Health.
attacking me.
Who is
Just
attacking? You just
John.
attacked
Real.
Mary. I will
John.
not put.
No, that
John.
was
I will
Mark
not put up
Oram's
for that.
statement.
John.
He
I will
said
not
that
take
at a
that.
meeting
John.
when she
Mary.
wasn't
All right,
present.
I'm going to
Could-
say that, suggest
you-
that we take a 5-minute recess.
Oh, sure,
Yes.
that's a good
Okay.
idea. Thank you.
Can I get,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
John.
Good evening. We're continuing the September 6, 2016 Board of Health meeting. We did take a 5-minute recess. We're rejoining it at approximately 8:11 p.m. We were talking about, I guess, board decorum, I guess would be the right
Can
term.
I-
Yes, KG.
By listening to all sides of the action here, I thought I would suggest a remedy to resolve this issue, possibly. We know that we've been talking about a retreat, and could we put this on that table to, as a part of the retreat, and work things out? It's a
I think it would be a big part of it, yeah.
better way to handle it, and then might come back with some resolution at the end of it. So we haven't tried that, and then it's worth trying it, and if you please to entertain to table these things to that discussion, or continue to that discussion there.
All right, so do we have any further conversation on public records request? One other item that I do have to clarify, because it was sent to Town Hall, and I did talk to the Attorney General's office. You did get mail here, Judy? You said, you told in staff that you did not, you wanted it returned because it was sent to you here?
I don't accept it from here.
The Attorney General's office advised me to give that to you. What you choose to do with it is up to you, because it is addressed to you.
I spoke with them also, they said to send it back.
No, they didn't.
Charlie, I feel bad for you.
I spoke with them.
Okay. Well, I'm just letting you know that I did give it to you, so. All right.
I do not receive my mail at Town Hall. And if you receive mail in my name specifically here, please send it back to the address, specifying that this is the wrong address for me.
All right, so let's just make sure. So
Just
anything
pay
addressed to
wrong-
you here, you do not want to take receipt of?
Specifically in my name.
Okay?
Does that say Board of Health on it?
It says Town of Ashland, no?
No.
Board of Health, yep.
Okay.
All right.
But how long ago was this received? And I asked Laura to return it. So why was that not sent back? August 19th.
She put it in my binder, and I took
August
responsibility.
19th.
Yep. So I've had it in my binder.
August 19th.
What's your point?
When you handle mail, you handle it appropriately.
When you
Yes,
get mail,
it's-
you
I
open
When
it.
you get mail, you
requested,
open it.
excuse
It's
me.
addressed to you.
I-
You do handle it. Thank you
I
for bringing that up. I
requested-
appreciate
I
that.
requested Laura to return it to the sender.
That's not her
You come here
responsibility. This
meeting
is
after
addressed to
meeting
you.
saying Laura has
You
no
write,
authority at
return
this
to
board. So what-
sender,
now
and you
it
throw
does?
it in the mailbox.
Now you do?
No way.
You come here meeting after meeting and berate and harass Laura, and now she works for you? Is that what you're
John,
saying?
please stop.
Oh, you are wonderful at that. Whenever you are challenged on something and you might be
Please
wrong,
stop.
this
You
is the way
want
you
me
always
to
act.
continue to argue the topic? This isn't challenging.
I haven't raised my
This
voice.
is-
You have.
This is continuing a discussion that is just not appropriate.
Okay.
And the more you angst it, the more you dig, the more you bully in your position as
I
chair.
move to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's 3-2. We are adjourned.